Annie Linsky, Rebecca Bauhaus, Emily Glazer, and Siobhan Hughes posted a story, How the White House Functioned with a Diminished Biden in Charge. The subhead, Aides kept meetings short and controlled access, top advisors acted as go-betweens, and public interactions became more scripted. I want you to hear the opening of this. During the 2020 presidential primary, Jill Biden campaigned so extensively across Iowa that she held events in more counties than her husband, a fact her press secretary at the time, Michael LaRosa, touted to a local reporter. His superior in the Biden campaign quickly chided him. As the three rode in a minivan through the state's cornfields, Anthony Bernal, the deputy campaign manager and chief of staff to Jill Biden, pressed LaRosa to contact the reporter again and play down any comparison in campaign appearances between Joe Biden, then 77, and his wife, who's 8 years his junior. Her energetic schedule only highlighted her husband's more plodding pace, LaRosa recalled. The message from Biden's team was clear. Quote, the more you talk her up, the more you make him look bad, LaRosa said. The small correlation foreshadowed how Biden's closest aides and advisors would manage the limitations of the oldest president in U.S. history during his 4 years in office. To adapt the White House around the needs of a diminished leader, they told visitors to keep meetings focused, interactions with senior Democratic lawmakers and some cabinet members, including powerful secretaries such as Defense's Lloyd Austin, Treasury Janet Yellen, were infrequent and grew less frequent. Some legislative leaders had a hard time getting the president's ear at key moments, including ahead of the U.S. disastrous pullout from Afghanistan. Senior advisors were often put into roles some administration officials and lawmakers thought Biden should occupy, with people such as National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Senior Counselor Stephen Ricchetti, National Economic Council head Lael Brainerd, who I've never heard of, and her predecessor frequently in the position of being go-betweens for the president. Press aides who compiled packages of news clips for Biden were told by senior staff to exclude negative stories about the president. The president wasn't talking to his own pollsters. His survey showed him trailing in the 2024 race. Presidents, the Journal notes, always have gatekeepers. But in Biden's case, the walls around him were higher and the controls greater, according to Democratic lawmakers, donors, and aides who worked for Biden and other administrations. There were limits over who Biden spoke with, limits on what they said to him, and limits around the sources of information he consumed. Throughout his presidency, a small group of aides stuck close to Biden to assist him, especially when traveling or speaking in public. Quote, they body him to such a high degree, a person who witnessed it said, hand-holding is unlike anything other recent presidents have had. The White House operated this way even as the president and his aides pressed forward with his re-election bid, which unraveled spectacularly after his halting performance in a June debate with Donald Trump made his mental acuity an insurmountable issue. Vice President Kamala Harris replaced him on the Democratic ticket and was decisively defeated by Trump. This account of how the White House functioned with an aging leader at the top of its organization chart is based on interviews with nearly 50 people, including those who participated in or had direct knowledge of his operations. Many of those who criticized Biden's insularity and his system nonetheless kept his agenda on track. Do you understand what we're saying here? He's been incompetent and incapacitated for 4 years. 4 years. This began in the spring of 2021 before the decision to leave Afghanistan, originally made for September 11th for some bizarre reason, then backed up to August 31st. 13 Americans died. Thousands of Afghans were left behind. Hundreds were wounded in that bomb blast at Abbey Gate. The president wasn't competent. He's not competent to commute these death sentences this morning. He's not competent. He is, in the law, incompetent people can't make material decisions. They could. It's very clear from this article. Everybody in the White House knew. Who in the media knew? Pretty much everyone who came. I called it in February of this year in a Fox News call. He's got to resign. This guy is not competent. And I've been calling him infirm for 2 years, but I had no idea that there was an operation inside the White House in which American legacy media was either explicitly complicit or recklessly indifferent to. The president doesn't have all of his marbles. That's the bottom line. And everybody knows it. And they've known it for years. And nobody told you.